Okay, this is Brent from tradeguild.blogspot.com, and we have some shorts that we're going to take a look at. Rio has been mentioned on my blog several times, I think, even in the recent set of videos from Monday. Here's this big head and shoulders top formation, and this is steel and iron commodities. And if you listen to the blog or read the blog, that I'm getting bearish rather on commodities. And here's this big head and shoulders formation. And this is a key thing that we see in head and shoulders formations, what really kind of tells you their vitality, how strong they are. On this head, as it's coming down here, look at all this volume and it's accelerating. This is what we want to see in a head and shoulders formation. And then these next two rally attempts in here, on a classic head and shoulders, you'll just have one shoulder, but this is a complex one. And the volume's not doing anything. It's not ticking up. It's not doing much. So I like this stock. I continue to like it. It's at a funny spot right now because it's not really up high up here around 24 where we'd like to short it on that right shoulder formation, like up in this level or this level. It's rather low, but I think we're winding down here. And look at this little pathetic rally attempt here, and the volume just kind of said, I'm not having it. The bulls just, they're not interested in steel at this point, at least not in this company. A couple other things I can show you here. There's a MACD divergence that we have, and let me find that for you. Look at this top here. We have the high here, and then this ultimate new high. Look at MACD. It didn't do anything. I mean, it's just pathetic right there. It was a real warning if you were buying up in this area. And look at that beautiful, by the way, let's look at that. That's just fantastic. If I can just move over a little bit and zoom in on this a little bit tighter. Look what happened at that top. That's a classic Harami pattern, Harami reversal. There's the big update candle. There's the doji right that falls in the middle of this candle, and the big bearish engulfing candle that confirms this top. That was, if you didn't get out of that stock on increasing volume, man, oof, what a beautiful short that was at that point. But, we're not at that point anymore, and we got to take what we can get. I think there's a big move coming here on the downside, so keep your eye on Rio. Next up is DBRN, and I'm not going to go through this too much because I've featured this stock so many times on the blog already in videos. There's that head and shoulders top again. It broke down. It pulled back up to the neckline. This is the area we want to short it. We got another opportunity to short it right here at that crossover, the 22 and the 200-day moving averages. It's fallen. I don't know what it's doing in here. Potentially, this is your resistance up here around $20, the top of this falling window gap. So, do you want to take a shot at it here? Do you want to see if it maybe rallies up to 20? I don't know. This looks like a pathetic rally attempt on no volume. I'm not crazy about shorting it down this low, but you got to make this trade your own. Look at the crossovers here. We have the red 22-day crossed under the 50-day, and the 22 days crossed under the 200. The 50 is about ready to cross over under the 200. So in a classic cycle, here was our accumulation, here was our markup, here's our distribution, and now we're in a phase of decline. So I think there's plenty of downside left on DBRN and not a whole lot of risk, but you got to enter it in such manner that you're comfortable. Let me just flip over my notes here so I can see what's next up. And what is next is ACTG, and I've been in this stock for almost a month now. I got in short up in this level around 1250 or so, or 13, and it's broken down. Here's the resistance level. I actually closed this out today so I could buy SLXA and add to ISV, but it's a possible short right here at about 1080 or $11 with a stop over 11. I don't like the higher low and the higher high. I'm not crazy about that, but I think it is probably within the context of a consolidation formation here. So there's potentially quite a bit more downside left here if you take a look at the chart. So keep it in mind. Next up is Icon, and this is Iconic's brand, and this is apparel and footwear, and we're talking about these stocks that had been doing pretty good, and now it seems like they're not doing so hot. They are at least seeing some sector rotation out of these kinds of issues and into tech. Anyway, here's the downtrend line, and basically we're having a move up to that area, and we'll take a closer look. There it is, and we got this little it's not really a dark cloud cover, but it's not a positive development either, this dark candle intruding into the previous day. So we could say, you know, we want to short it around $15, and maybe we want to have a stop above this trend line at like 15.50. It is getting squeezed between the trend line and the rising 200-day moving average. Ultimately, if we were to take a look at some of the other indicators, you can see in BOP we have selling, and it looks like TSV is making a run at it, but it didn't get too far, and Money Stream hasn't gotten very far either. So I think Icon is a pretty decent short at this point. Let's take a look at SRE. And SRE, you know, I don't know that this is a position trade, but it is an evening star reversal. So real quickly, I guess, you know, here's what goes into an evening star. You have to have a nice uptrend. So we got the little uptrend. You need to have a nice long white candle day, black in this case because I used the black screen. And there's a doji. So this is actually a doji star reversal, or a doji evening star. I'm not sure what they call it, but anyway. And here's the confirmation, and this is what we look for really to get into a great position. I always, you know, jump in early on these dojis. I'll say, you know, I think that's, you know, a good entry, and sometimes you get burned. So if you wait for this, you're going to lose a little bit on the profit. You know, you lost in this case maybe 50 cents or so, or something like that, but you have the confirmation. So I think this is a probable day trade. If you want to look into day trading this tomorrow, I think it's going to head down. So maybe you can catch a little trend on a day trade, or maybe a couple days. Maybe it pulls back to this 48.25 level. So there's not a lot there. It's utilities, but you know, you go in on it pretty heavily leveraged, and you can maybe make some money there. I leave it to you, but in any case, it's a nice candle formation to look at. Next up in our final short is AL, which is Alcan Inc., and I'm going to be showing more and more of these steel and aluminum and different commodity sectors, because I think they're just going to break down here. And what we're looking at here is a big complex top, and I've showed this a couple times before. There's a video specifically on this stock, so I'm not going to get too in-depth here. But we were kind of hoping to short it up in this level, and it's provided some entry points, and now it's heading down. Ultimately, excuse me, I think it's going to break this neckline down here around 42.50, and it's up to about you know, 58 in there. So you've got a potential trade of 16 points down from the 42.50 level. So, you know, easily we could end up at 35 easily. You know, the trade dictates more than that. So I like this one. At this point, I think if you're not in yet, it's a little bit difficult for me to justify. Maybe you say 47 is your stop and you jump in. Maybe you wait for a break of that neckline at 42.50 or at 42. But in any case, AL is looking pretty good still here for some destruction, I guess. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I'd like to hear some feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like. Feedback in the way of tips in the tip jar is always appreciated. And if you have a favorite stock or a stock in your portfolio that's troubling you and you want a second opinion, let me know. And if I think the chart is, you know, got something to show, because charts don't always have something to show, I'll try to get it on the blog for you. Okay? Thanks very much. Have a great night. Have a great day tomorrow.